So those examples were those quotes were from Jacques Derrida, who makes several appearances in a larger version of this, along with his magnificent hair. Alignment: when you turn in a paper, often a professor will request that be ragged right, because just as with serifs, just as with ascenders and descenders, it gives the eye more things to kind of latch onto. Actually, some publications have moved away from justification and use ragged right, even though they're fancy glossy magazines. I think Wired in the early 90s was one of the first publications to start doing that because it's easier to read. Nonetheless, many people like justified text, and you're working with a pretty good program if it will let you justify all but the last line of the text, so you don't get those awkward gaps. Again, with those gaps, you notice negative space comes up again and again. Things for the eye to focus on come up again and again in negative space. A well-designed body text, typeface for a body text, will have a kind of uniform gray when you look at it from a distance. There's enough negative space you can make out the letters, not so much negative space that the eye pauses inappropriately on them. Enough things for the eye to grab onto that it's easy to read hour after hour after hour. And with a good body text, it has a very high bar. And that's why you see the same ones, like Times New Roman, being used again and again and again, because they've met that kind of test. Okay, so centered works well for short quotations. In English, you often see right alignment, either for creative layout or for sidebar or marginalia comments. Ligatures, I've mentioned in class these magnificent German words for oxygen bottle and oxygen bottle washer. Okay, what type of typeface is this? Go ahead, say it. Sometimes it's called Old English. I'll get to Gothic in a minute, but it's technically a black letter typeface. Interestingly, in Germany, up until right around the middle of World War II, large numbers of things that appeared in print were done in black letter. It was a national style. It was part of their cultural heritage, and people grew up reading it, and they found it quite easy to read. Hitler even made it the official typeface of the Third Reich, which worked well until they started invading lots of people, and people they were invading could no longer read it. And so they did a 180-degree turn on that. If you've seen the documentary Helvetica, which I'd highly recommend, one of the things they talk about often in there is the internationalism of Swiss design. Helvetica is a Swiss typeface, and the hopefulness of this, and the idea that Helvetica is kind of a universal typeface that transcends cultural and national boundaries. I think that's particularly important because it occurs against the backdrop of these sort of nationalistic typefaces, which were most powerfully expressed in black letter type and Germany during World War II.